Mom she chose men over family, and then she chose suicide over life. So she tried to kill herself, and they placed me in custody of my uncle. And my uncle had 3 daughters, and so he called my father. And my father decided that he didn't want kids. So he gave us up for adoption. That was like 2 weeks after the suicide attempt of our mom. And then about a year later, my mom signed the same paper. So being a ward of the state, then placed in long-term foster care. In one home we lived by a lake, and I was fishing, riding motorcycles, chasing the ducks and geese, collecting eggs from the chickens, just enjoying that type of life. And in another home, it was just doing things after school with other kids, riding bikes, doing a walk-a-thon for the March of Dimes. You know, I got to do what I felt like was any other kid, going to the park and having pine cone fights. I mean, just being a boy. But when I went into this home, all of that ceased. For example, after school, I was driven to a sawmill where I would work from 4 o'clock till midnight, 5 nights a week, 12 hours on Saturday. Sounds a lot for a sixth grade kid, but that's what I did. I replaced one of the men on one of the saws. And so that's what I would do. And that's how their business people that were in relationships with them started reporting them, because of the number of hours that I was working and doing things like that. So there was no school life, there was no social life, there was no hanging out with friends, going to football games, parties, or after school sports, none of that. Did my homework on the bus, my grades weren't that good, I didn't have a lot of sleep and rest, and didn't have any help with the things that I suffered in school. One of the neat things that came from this was when in college I shared my story with my best friend, and my best guy friend and my best girlfriend married. And since, they've had over 70 foster kids, which is amazing. It's just incredibly amazing. They've adopted 2 of them. So it's been a wonderful story. And I can tell you that speaking to them over the past 20 years, that some things are still the same. Their home was approved for 2 kids, sometimes they had 10. You know, the caseworkers are constantly saying, can you take this child, can you take this child, can you take this child? And as someone who wants to help, you want to take the child. But at the same time, there's only so many kids and so many people you can take in your home. So I know it's still, the families are still overwhelmed and the caseworkers are still overwhelmed. And that's not something that I believe a caseworker can fix. That's something society has to fix. Something we have to decide as a society that we want to develop and make stronger families so that these kids aren't being dumped out into the system.